This person might be a bit of a challenge to whether we're going to stay in time or not, I would say.
Oh.
Ronnie Lee. Hello,
There we go.
Ronnie.
I've got my special t-shirt on today, as you can see.
Oh, great.
There we go.
And the banner. I can see the banner behind you.
Yeah,
the banner, yeah, the vegan flag, which one day will be flying all over the world as we take control. That's my plan, anyway.
Yes.
Oh, that's our plan.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to be on for massively long tonight because we've got a cat that's not very well, and I have to give her special food and special tablets.
I'm just trying to turn my light back on.
I've got to do that, so I can't stay forever. Everyone will be relieved about that.
Oh, you can't get enough. You can't get too much Ronnie Lee, I don't think.
No. I think
Louise might disagree with me. Louise is probably in the corner going, "Yes, you bloody can."
oh, she's bound to be. Yeah, bound to be.
There's loads of people saying that. I don't know. So
Probably.
we've got you.
Yeah,
we got you slated to talk about. We got you slated to talk about the early years, Ronnie, because you're very old, as I said one time.
Well, you mean at the turn of the century, before it was called vegan?
Yeah, you would when you were writing vegan leaflets on slates. That's what we're talking about now.
That's right. When we communicated with smoke signals and stuff. Yeah. Oh, and organised stuff through that. Yeah. Well, I mean, I became vegan in 1972. I'd been a vegetarian about 2.5 years earlier. In those days, a lot of people went vegetarian first. These days, a lot of people go straight to being vegan because it's kind of so much easier now to live as a vegan. It was through, I was already a vegetarian. It was through picking up a copy of the Vegetarian Society's magazine in a health food shop. And there was an article in there about veganism. And along with lots of other things, something like vivisection, the fur trade, hunting, all that. And I was horrified. I didn't know about any of these things. And I got in touch with the Vegan Society. I became vegan probably within a couple of weeks. In other words, I switched my diet to a vegan diet within a couple of weeks. And very quickly got involved with hunt saboteurs. And because for me, I didn't see... immediately, as soon as I became vegan, it was never enough for me just to be vegan myself. I kind of realised straight away that was no good. It's no good me just being vegan while almost the whole of the rest of the world isn't vegan, because that isn't going to do too much good for the other animals. So I kind of immediately wanted to do more than just be a non-consumer of animal products. And so I kind of got involved with Hunt Sabs because they were the most activist group, and I was young. I wanted to do active stuff, and it carried on from there. But it was kind of, in those days, it was a lot more difficult to live as a vegan because, for a start, the products in the early 70s, certainly in the UK. Manufacturers of food products weren't required to put the ingredients on the packaging. So you had to more or less guess what was in things. And it was particularly difficult with stuff like bread, because in those days, most bread contained animal fat. And so you had to know, I mean, we got to know which brands of bread were okay to buy, and they weren't all that common. It was even kind of difficult to buy bread that didn't contain animal products. Another thing we thought was okay was peanut butter. In those days, there was only one brand of peanut butter. I think it was Sunpat. And of course, we all fell on this. Oh, this is a good source of protein. This is just peanuts, more or less. And then one of our kind of group, he wrote away to the company. He wrote away, because no emails or internet in those days. He wrote a letter to Sunpat asking what was in their peanut butter, and we were sat around having a meeting. He walked in, he said, "I've got some terrible news." He said, "I've had a letter back from Sunpat. There's beef fat in the peanut butter." And like, we wanted to kill him. We went, "You bastard, why did you write away? And we can't eat it. We can't eat the stuff now, and so we couldn't even eat the peanut butter, that we'd been eating for
What a bizarre idea, though, eh? What a bizarre idea to put beef into peanut butter. Ridiculous.
What it was that almost everything these days that contains vegetable oil, in those days, it was beef fat. I mean, sometimes it was some type of other animal fat, perhaps pork fat and stuff like that, but it was animal fat. And then gradually over time that got replaced by vegetable oil. But that was...
Rodney, Oh, sorry, go on, carry on.
Yeah, no, you carry on. That's okay.
I've got a question for you. So when in your early days with the SABs and you'd gone vegan and everything, was everyone who was doing activism then, were they coming in as kind of non-vegans and then going vegan, or were you doing a lot of activism with non-vegan activists? What was the kind of landscape there at that time in terms of veganism and activism?
Well, there was no vegan activism like there is today. I mean, what happened was that there'd been no kind of campaigning for veganism in the movement before that. I mean, the Vegan Society didn't really. It was more like a kind of support group really for existing vegans. It wasn't that much of a campaigning organisation. And so what happened was people were campaigning on all sorts of other issues, and by and large those people weren't vegan, campaigning against animal experiments, the hunt sabs, people against the fur trade, etc. And by and large those people weren't vegan. But as veganism kind of began to increase in the 1970s, and what would happen was people that got involved in these various campaigns rubbed shoulders with vegans who were already involved, and that kind of persuaded the non-vegans to go vegan. I mean, certainly that was my experience. I was involved in running a hunt sab group in North London, and the two or three of us that kind of ran the group, we were vegan. And when people joined, invariably they weren't vegan. Some of them were really anti-vegan, said, "Oh, I'm not interested in that. I just want to save the fox. I love my meat," and all that kind of stuff. And but most of those people within just a few weeks went vegan because we explained to them why we were vegan, and they took it on board. And so we turned a lot of people vegan through just getting involved in our group. And we tried to be nice to them. I mean, there was one night when a lot of drink flowed, and there was this guy that staunchly refused to go vegan. So what we did was we tied him up in a sleeping bag, locked him in a cupboard, and said, "Right, you stay there until you promise to go vegan." And after about 20 minutes, there was this kind of banging on the door, and he said, "Let me out. I promised to go vegan." So we let him out.
Well, just
why don't we try this? What's going on?
So it's a good way. I mean, like, people get outraged. What they need to do is be out on the streets with a sleeping bag and a cupboard to promote veganism. Really, lock people in there like for 20 minutes. But I lost contact with him, quite a while back. But I was still in contact with him probably about 15, 20 years later, and he was still vegan. So he stayed.
I thought you were going to say he's still in the sleeping bag.
Yeah, he's still in the sleeping bag. That might be the reason he is not able to eat animal products. He's in the sleeping bag.
One thing that you might not know, Ronnie, is that we're doing a new thing. We're actually streaming to TikTok as well as to my YouTube. And so one of the things that vegans get on TikTok all the time is they're forcing people to become vegan, and we always say, well, how do we do that? But now we know how now, right?
No, of course. The sleeping bag. Yeah, I'll give a warning to people on TikTok. Anyone not vegan on TikTok, I'll be round your house with a sleeping bag in the cupboard. Go vegan now. Save yourself a load of aggro. Be honest.
Ronnie, do you think that because on a practical level, it was more difficult back then to eat plant-based, people were put off by veganism? Or if you knew why you should be vegan, you knew it and that was it, and it doesn't matter if you have all the products of the world or not, because now we have all these products and there is so much talk about these products, too much talk about this product, and I feel that people sometimes use it as an excuse.
Oh no, I agree with you, because however difficult it is to live as a vegan, to consume a vegan diet, it's a million times more difficult, or even more than that, more difficult for the animals that suffer and are slaughtered because we're not vegan, isn't it? No matter how difficult it is, we weren't going to die. It was difficult to find stuff. It was very, very difficult to eat out anywhere because it was the same problem that invariably, places would cook it using animal products. There's animal products in almost everything. I remember I'd go for works. Place I worked in the solicitor's office at the time, and we'd go out for works meal. I had to walk out because I said, "What have you got for me?" And there wasn't anything. So I said, "Bye. I'm not going to sit here not eating anything while you chomp into your carcasses." So I had to kind of not take part in the meals that were going on. And so that was a problem. It was which is like. I mean, there's so many vegan options everywhere today. So, but I think where people cared enough, we were determined. We would, no matter how difficult it was to get the products and how difficult it was to kind of eat, to eat out, we were determined to not to consume animal products, and also determined to campaign. On these various issues, although at the time no one really campaigned for veganism, and that came much later. So that's the thing. That's what comes first. You see, with veganism, it isn't really the food or the diet that comes first. What comes first is a philosophy. What comes first is the belief in animal liberation and the desire for animal liberation and the desire not to be involved in the oppression and exploitation of other animals. And I think once people accept that speciesism and human supremacism is wrong, and they become determined to try to live according to that as best they can, that is the time when a person becomes vegan. It's a philosophy. It's not a diet. It's not a lifestyle. It's actually a philosophy, and the diet and the lifestyle are kind of part of that philosophy. And that's kind of how I always looked at it, really. But people seem to get it the wrong way round, and people don't really understand that. And I don't think they understand. A lot of people that call themselves vegan are really just plant eaters rather than actual vegans.
Yeah, it is a confusion in the modern movement, isn't it?
There's a funny comment from Michael, by the way. At 6:34, Roger. I don't know if you spotted that one.
6:34. Hang on. Try and find it. It's gone. Oh, blimey! It's a good way away.
A good way away. And I just thought it was quite amusing. I thought it would make Ronnie laugh.
I can't find it. Oh, there.
Really?
That's the normal.
Yeah.
That's a normal problem, isn't it, Roger? With you.
According to the bro science, if Ronnie's been vegan since 1972, you can only survive for 5 years, of course, as we know. Ronnie's been since 1977.
Well, I can confirm that.
Yeah.
I can confirm that.
I'm dead. Yeah, you don't want to come too close to me. It's not a pleasant experience. Not a pleasant nasal experience.
Never have. No, Ronnie.
No.
This part of the show. This part of the show is the bit that I've been really looking forward to. I've been dreaming about this part of the show because this is the time when I boot you out.
Oh my God!
Let me just say this. I hope that everyone has been doing something for World Vegan Day. In some way. I mean, this morning I was out. This morning we've got a compassionate Christmas campaign locally. We're trying to persuade everyone in the area to go vegan for Christmas and thereafter and stay vegan. And I was out delivering leaflets with another person from our group. We delivered hundreds of leaflets to people's letterboxes this morning, and that was our contribution to World Vegan Day. And it's very important that we do our utmost to spread the message. I mean, the problem in the old days, and very, very quickly before I go, one of the differences in the old days was from now was that almost all vegans were actually activists. They may not have been activists in promoting veganism, but they're certainly activists in terms of campaigning against various areas where animals were oppressed. And now we got vegan activism, we've got vegan outreach, which is absolutely brilliant. It's brilliant that that's come about. But very sadly, so few vegans or people who call themselves vegans are involved in that. And if we want to change things, we have to have more vegans becoming active, and we've got to have more vegans organising outreach activity in their local areas. And if we, and that's the way we really change things. And I'd urge everyone listening to that to kind of, to get active and to get organising. So that's it. You can kick me out now.
Ronnie, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Ronnie.
It's been a pleasure.
Your little cat is going to be better. I hope
she's got like a kind of chronic gastric problem, and she has to have a special diet and tablets that I'm the one that kind of does it, and she can't eat the other cat's food, although she desperately wants to.
Yeah.
So she has to be kept separate, and it's because it's a bit complicated. So I kind of
you don't have to tell me about that. I hear you preaching to the choir.
But anyway,
like a military operation in this house.
Everyone enjoy World Vegan Evening, or whatever the time is in your part of the world, and hopefully I'll see everyone again on another one of these shows.
Well, there's a nice one to finish with. So Corrie is saying that she's written a chapter on the changing meaning of veganism and included your version of it. So that's nice.
Oh, that's great. Brilliant. That's great, Corrie.
And anyway, Ronnie, really, you're a hero to us all. I wasn't going to say that when you were online because I didn't want to embarrass you, like as if I could. And so you just take care. And Nella and Wendy, I knew you'd find a way of going over, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I've gone over far more than this before.
Yeah,
in more ways than one.
Yeah, are you talking about shows now or something else?
Not me kind of staying upright. No.
Right. I've got my cursor hanging over the remove button. So
see my T-shirt again. There we go.
See you, Ronnie.
See you. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.